Welcome to Inside Talks, brought to you by Outlook in association with Johnson Tiles. This is a conversation series with architects and designers. It's not typically about their landmark projects or awards they won. It's about them as a person, as a creator, a master, and a learner. The interviews are taken by filmmaker Aradhana Seth in very informal and free-flowing style. And let me tell you, every conversation has very interesting and inspiring stories. Hello and namaste. I am Dinesh Vyas and I welcome you to the Inside Talks brought to you by Outlook in association with Prism Johnson. In this episode, I will take you to one of the highly renowned and veteran architect, Mr. Shashi Prabhu, who is based out of Mumbai. Architect Shashi Prabhu is one of the most respected architects and he is known for several high-profile stadiums and hospital projects in his last 50 years of practice. Cricket is almost like a religion in India and his association with cricket is very special. He was quite serious about cricket and in fact, he played under the captainship of Farooq Engineer during his college days. And then, as a very young architect, almost fresh from college, he got the big assignment to do Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium. After this, he did more than 25 sports complexes, one after other, across the country. And then his entry to hospital projects is also very interesting. Actually, he has created multiple types of famous public buildings. Architect Shashi Prabhu has held many eminent positions of influence. In this interview with Aradhana Seth, he has talked about everything he cares about. He also gave advice to young architects and students of design. So come, let's join the conversation.
What led you into architecture?
See, I was basically after my school graduation, I used to play regular cricket and then I wanted to become a test player and play cricket for India and so on. That's a dream. With that dream, after graduation, I joined Commerce College. And that was Podar College. And my captain was the Farooq Engineer, who happened to be then the wicket keeper of Indian team. And I was doing good. But in that age, you don't know what you want to do. So somehow I played the cricket. And I left it at that, and then at the end result, in the commerce, which I had no intention to become commerce graduate, it was a failure, to be honest. But I had inclination for the architecture and art, which was born art, because basically one has to be an artist to become an architect, and then you can create. So there I decided to go to the architecture, and during my time in Mumbai, anybody could go to the architecture and then there was no barrier of getting 95%, 98% marks. No. I got into one of the college which was very close to my residence. So I went to Bandra. And I'm happy to say that it is now Raheja College of Architecture, but I did my graduation from there. It so happened after doing the graduation, my earlier professor in the Commerce College, Changadkar, who happened to be the secretary of Mumbai Cricket Association, and then now it's called, of course, earlier it was called Bombay Cricket Association, now it's Mumbai Cricket Association. He remembered that, my student, he has done the architecture, so why shouldn't I give the opportunity of whatever has to be designed for this Lloyd Recreation Ground. So that time, Mr. Wankhede was the finance minister and he asked for, who is the young possible architect who can really devote time. The issue was, busy architect and an architect who is just entering because he has enough time. Probably he must have seen that flair in me and then possibly my engagement vis-a-vis
cricket.
The job.
And cricket.
The jobs. And then I was, comparatively much free. So assigned me the job, and then at that age also the maturity prevails in me. And I thought I must take help of somebody, senior person. And fortunately for me, then the renowned structural engineer of that period, Mr. Kamal Hadkar and his father, they came to my rescue, and we together designed the first structure of Wankhede Stadium, which was built designing was started in 1969, and the stadium we started in the 70s, and in a matter of 11 and 23 days, the stadium structure was complete. It was something like a world record perhaps.
Yes.
And my contractor, Billy Moria, where I am sitting right now, used to occupy, his office was here. He really supported me, and with my team, we did that first cricket stadium. Of course, it was controversial. People started, arguing because it was a fight between Bombay Cricket Association then and the Cricket Club of India, CCI. Cricket Club of India had Vijay Merchant as the chairman, and then he would, of course, wanted the matches to be played in cricket CCI. But however, Mr. Wankhede was determined, and he said, nothing doing, we are going to go. And believe me, in those days it was an issue of 1,500 tickets. And the Cricket Club of India refused to this association that kind of assurance, and then they said, no, we can't compromise and we will not give 1,500 tickets. And Mr. Wankhede came back to then Lloyd's Recreation Ground, and he said, Shashi, start. We want to build a stadium. It was a big challenge, for the young man like me. But I said, challenge is challenge. And being a young boy, obviously I wanted senior people. So Mr. Hadkar also came to my rescue. And Mr. Wankhede told me that to go around India, that we couldn't go abroad to find out what kind of stadia are there. So we went to Bangalore, we went to Chennai, and then found out how the stadiums are built. And then we tried to understand what the stadium structure is. And we started with the work, and we didn't look back, and then in a matter of 11 months and 23 days as a record, completed the stadium with whatnot, painting, benches and numbers and whatnot. And believe me, it was a last test match. And a lot was depend on whether India loses or India wins. And luckily for this association, we won the match at Chennai. That time it was Madras, and it was a full house at Wankhede Stadium, and the people came for the test match, watching 45,000 capacity, and the entire focus was cricket and politics. Politics in the same cricket, Vijay Merchant, Wankhede.
Of course.
And this triangle, and we worked at that. Of course, there was some issue. Somebody, Babu Tangewala, used to give a garland, go to Maidan, the ground, and then give the garland, and then put the garland to the person who has really done the century or so on. So Babu Tangewala came suddenly from one of the exit and started running into the ground. So the cops went behind him and they really started beating him. That was an opportunity for the opposition to make Halla Gulla, and then they started breaking putting the flame to the furniture and everything. It was a fiasco. And then after the breakage, etc., Mr. Wankhede conducted a meeting, urgent meeting. Fortunately, that time our vice president was also the municipal commissioner. He said, he told my Shashi, not to worry about it, we'll organize. And believe me, he gave about 3,000 workers, Billy Moria's individual attention, my physical presence for the whole night. We set right Wankhede Stadium, and when Lloyd, Lloyd was the captain of West Indies, when he refused to say that I'm not going to postpone the match and we are going to play. So he said, okay. We also took the challenge, and next day, when the team arrived, they got a shock of their mind, and they said, Oh dear, the state school graduates.
And how many stadiums have you built subsequently? Because you obviously then became like the stadium person.
The stadium as an individual, as a one of the structure doesn't become a viable. So we went to the sports complexes and then taking into consideration the other sports as well. And it's going to be the multi sports complex, in the sense multi all the facilities wherein the children at any age would be encouraged for the playing badminton, volleyball, football, you name it, table tennis, to everything. And we got an opportunity given by Madam Gandhi to us, and we got a Asian Games 1982.
Yes.
And me and my team, we went to Delhi. And it was facing Madam Gandhi, it wasn't Hindi. And the intern, she had given a kind of a promise that she will be creating a venue ready for the Asian Games. And believe me, that was the first time the color television came to India. It was a big occasion, and then, to get ready for the specific day was a big challenge. We have faced many hurdles, but my contractor was good, our team was good. We worked day and night and created Indira Gandhi Stadium, Delhi, which has a capacity of 25,000, completely air conditioned. And suddenly it came in the mind, the organizers, then DDA, Delhi Development Authority, that 25,000 capacity will be big, so why not to put it into half, 25, 12, 12 and a half and 12 and a half. So the idea came good, but we have to have some kind of curtain in between. And a massive curtain was ordered, weighing something like 60 tons. After doing that, the very successful Asian Games, subsequently we were known, and then we were stamped as an architect doing only sports complex. Wankhede Stadium was done earlier. Then it was a slight of a patch in the life that when you do and when you are so busy that you are working 18 hours a day and suddenly there is a void. I was a bit depressed, and then I asked Wankhede sir what to do. Because I was so busy working 18 hours a day. And somehow the Bhalasaheb Thackeray then, he came into my contact and he said, Shashi, you said like this to Mr. Wankhede sir. I said, yes. Don't you worry please, there is another stadium coming up at Dadoji Konde Stadium in Thane. And that was the beginning, and then we did a couple of stadiums in Jalandhar, you name it, most of the places. Hyderabad, we did for the national game. We went to Bhopal and we did national game. We went to Guwahati and did the stadium. Almost all the places.
The question I would ask you is, if when you have a project of this scale, whether it's a stadium or a hospital or a sports city or these 450 apartments, if we go a little bit into the materiality.
Let us start with the basics. We have to have walling. In a room, there has to be 4 walls, otherwise
Yes. Yes.
Now earlier we used to use the bricks, which are not available now. So bricks position has been taken over by the cement concrete blocks, hollow or the solid. Now it has become a difficult in the sense acoustic point of view. So bricks is to absorb some kind of sound. So this concrete doesn't absorb. So we have to absorbing material also reflection. So acoustics play a very important role. So if you ask me, do you know acoustics 100%? No. So I have the consultant guiding me. So every respect, the material selection, architectural completion of any project, we have to have different consultants. Like I said, mechanical, people from the mechanical side should be consulting me or giving me consultation. Electrical side, electrical. And then fortunately in-house, we have all the people at their position. So we are able to give turnkey offer.
What sort of material do you use? And for instance, in a housing like the one that you're doing, the MLA housing versus like a hospital in terms of say flooring?
See, it depends ultimately the cost. We are doing the massive police housing for the 10,000 people. 10,000 families, sorry, not 10,000 families in Panvel. It is an affordable housing. So there we would like to really select something really long lasting, because it is somebody's lifetime saving is putting into the house, that specific project. So that durability is very important factor. Today, everything what is being built today is long lasting, because we have to assure the life. Today, the life of the building is considered to be minimum 60 years.
Yes.
Or slightly more than that. But the challenges, you have to take it, and then today everybody is educated, even contractors also have compromised.
Yes.
The developers also understood that if they want to be successful developer, they can't do, cost cutting or so on.
How do you decide between stone and concrete and tile?
See, architect is something, which has to play the important role also and be flexible. If I say I want to have a kitchen, flooring, kitchen cooking platform, so I say that, use granite, and then somebody says I would like to have marble. I have to identify the pluses and minuses of the marble material, which is porous. You have to educate people. Not necessarily everybody is educated. People will come in the magazine and show something. But you have to really go deep into the material selection and find out pluses and minuses.
What would you say about ceramic?
The ceramic now, you see, we are doing hospital also. And the vitrified tiles, for the flooring and the side walls, which would be ceramic. It easy to clean, dust free and hygienic. Because if I try to use something like old material like Kota stone, etc., which is not available, so the stone flooring is day by day is going to be very, very rare because the material is not available. So we have to go for this so-called made, ceramic, vitrified, whatever may be the materials we are going to use for the flooring and walling. This is a change, and the mindset has to be towards the change of and accept it. So natural material resources are going to be limited. So you have to put your focus on the so-called present material.
Could we talk a little bit about the evolution of flooring?
See, the earlier, when you talk about 30s or 40s, I'm talking about 1940, people used to get best of the best floor tiles, cement tiles. With the pattern, color would fade. Slowly and gradually, we are responsible. The demand went up. As the demand went down, the prices went up. And the other materials came in. So then the era came about vitrified tiles and ceramic tiles. Because what is available for that price, architects are bound to select that. So end of the day, the price matters. What is affordable, looks good aesthetically, architect will focus on that. Therefore, in the hospital we prefer vitrified tile. Hospital labs of different types, medical labs are different. But we have to have a spotless, minimum exposure of the cement. So joints has to be really thin, which you can achieve in this vitrified tile, because edges are perfect, 90 degrees. And that's accepted material. What is accepted by architects, by experience, going to remain there, and it will be very difficult to wash it up. Innovation will be there, they will increase the thickness, reduce the thickness, and so on and so forth. But as far as this side of the architecture, because especially healthcare and healthcare building, in a medical college is a different thing altogether. We are doing medical college also.
How do you manage to marry technology with architecture?
Technology is going to change, from year to year. People are going to bring some different material, because their R&D is also working simultaneously. And it is architects also to keep in touch with this manufacturer and find out. And the market research is also continuously to be on. So you have to keep your eyes open and watching around. And you get a different feedback, but you have to assess yourself. You have to position yourself to pick up such material and a certain quality, as I mentioned, durability, usefulness, aesthetics. All these factors architect has to consider.
Which are the art forms that you feel enhance an architect if they have it in them?
See, shall I tell you something? The straight line is the basic, which is most of the architects should follow. The crooked line will give you the crookedity. Crooked in the sense, the circular, no shape and nothing, and then creating a box. And then straight architecture will define and remain permanently in the minds of the people. Marine Drive. Why people do appreciate? Why the foreigners come there and then take the photograph of this building? Is it possible for us to create something now? No. That somebody has already done about 40, 50, 60 years back. More than that. Art Deco was that time on the side. Now the modern will come, modern will go away. So the mindset also has changed. But ultimately we have to be flexible, adaptable. We cannot become rigid. If the client says something, you have to listen to the client. Because there is some content in his mind also. We cannot say, I am the great, I am going to decide. No. You have to go with the overall opinion and then try to set your mind.
Could you tell us a little bit about sustainability also in your buildings, where that has been a big focus?
See, the biggest concern is that the durability of the house. How many of us really examine that, how many years the building is going to last? See, where I am residing, I have to see that, how many old the building is. So the building is already 40 years. I have to take into consideration another 20 years max. And the building is going to go for repairs. And then multiples of repairs will come up. So we have to build a city, we have to build another building, demolish. So the cycle is bound to go on. City is going to change. And as I said, some of the buildings which are really constructed about 80 years ago, they are long lasting because the material then available was so good.
And how did you go into hospitals? You were doing stadiums and...
Somebody really hurt my ego. It was a foreign architect and then certain terminology. Like, use the word CSSD. I didn't know what is CSSD. Right now also if I tell you CSSD, what is it? Nothing but Central Sterile Department.
Okay.
So hospital architecture is something, if you learn in a correct form, with the adjacency, etc., you will learn architecture in and out. And today, any building comes to me, commercial, residential, whatever it is, will be able to design with this, my basic thing, adjacencies, use, sizes, materials, dimension, access, and more than that, the signages, and then people should know exactly what they are doing, what they want to do. Why we circulate air, why we take the fresh air. The fresh air intake, 100% is recommended.
Yes.
We can't afford to treat it and then cool it and then send it to the operation theatre. But we at least with 50% air changes, the recovery will be faster. Why not? In fact, it is wrong to say that a hospital should not be air conditioned. See, today we have got few hospitals in Mumbai because I say it is impossible to construct, buy the land, construct a hospital and wait for a number of years to get into the profit line. People, always complain Nilavati is doing so good, but after how many years? We did a Harkisandas also. It is sitting in a Girgaon. But, the family has decided and then some of the patients do expect, they like that isolation. Because people are going to interfere. This is how, the strategic plan works. Basic thing is that your hospital has to have adjacency, and the adjacency has been decided by the medical fraternity, and that protocol you have to follow in the planning. So this architecture of healthcare cannot be taken lightly by any architect. You must know the subject, you must talk to doctors, their issues, and it keeps on changing.
So which is the building that you feel is for you something that you have got a lot of pleasure while making? And also the one that where you feel is...
So I will name instead of only focusing for the one structure where I am sitting. Wankhede Stadium is my creation. Okay, fine. and then we have gone through the tough time, but we spent and we have created a place. But there's another structure in a opposite Mantralaya, Savan Center. People call it, YB Center. Yashwantrao Balwantrao Chavan, but people say YB Center. Today that building has a theatre, we have education, we have computer classes, we have regular seminars. It's a multi-purpose facility. It's a unique structure, and then we have put that lamp hanging. And then people wonder, why I did. Because one of my architects suggested that, it's a typical Maharashtrian character. And if you see that the huge area with the lamp hanging is that, gives the impression that you are nobody. Because Britishers have created porches where the car would go in a porch and then somebody will open the shutter and then you get down. Here you have to walk down, irrespective of whoever you are. Whether president, vice president, chief minister, everybody has to walk down, get into that foyer and then get into the elevator. This is what really a common building and meant for everybody. So I like that structure. Hospitals, how many projects I don't know, I can't count even. See Balewadi Sports Complex in Pune. It is created 156 acres. Today we are setting Sports Academy, first sports academy, where youngsters will be taught from archery to shooting to anything, badminton, you name it, which is not a game.
I think when you have a young architect come to you for an interview to work with you, what is it that you look at?
I look at them as inspiring young kids, and I say that they have to get educated, but not by giving them the doses, pampering them, not to hurt their egos, and somehow other groom them. And tactfully you have to do it, and then slowly and gradually they also understand. To confess that you have no knowledge at all, to say something on the face of some student, it is kind of a discouraging the person.
Somebody who you think is a bright spark and is promising.
See, we have got a pencil and the paint. How many people really do the sketches now? Those days are gone. Computer has taken over the basic architecture away. People started thinking architecture on that screen, which is this by this or slightly bigger. The screen doesn't give, it's a ready-made thing. So people are not forgotten to draw the sketches and try to bring out that sketch into reality. Where are those people? They are gone. And now the people are taking the computers in the colleges. So architect when we learned, we used to draw the drawings and we call it, we used to use the paper and the tracing. Now tracing is automatic. We do something on a computer and it goes to the machine and the machine draws. So how to judge it, because computer is drawing the computers.
So how do you judge?
How I judge, that, see the FSP, flow-based program, whether adjacencies have been followed. So in the hospital, adjacencies are very important. Hospital has an emergency. When you go to the hotel, it's a beautiful entrance and then you go to reception and then you get yourself admitted. But the real entry for the hospital is emergency, EMS.
What would be the advice you would give them when you work on a big project in terms of materiality, structure? What would be the advice you would give them?
First of all, let them understand that the college architecture, what they have studied is a college. And in a practical sense, you have to become practical. You have to know the budget of your client. Especially you are doing somebody's, for that matter, villa. One should know exactly how many crores would like to spend. There can't be everybody, so super duper rich that he doesn't care a damn for the money, etc. People have limited budget, so you should be such a flexible person, to understand the budget and then accordingly, modify the design to suit the budget. So that flexibility one has to keep in the mind. As far as we are concerned, when you take the job, you ask them, what is the budget? Mostly, we are working for the government. The government specify this is what we are contemplating a budget. For example, now we are doing a very important project for the elected MLAs in the city.
Okay.
It's an accommodation for 450 elected MLAs in the city, and they call it Amdar Nivas. Amdar means MLA. It's about 1100 crore project. But we have been so particular about selecting material, specifying correctly, and then subsequently it should be executed in our supervision. The supervision is one of the important things. All architects should know that when they design something, they should think of construction of the same. You cannot design something which people will find it difficult to construct. So this has to be taught, and then some changes are essential to bring in the education pattern in architecture, because every student feels that my son should do architecture. It's a paying proposition. Basic education has to be perfect. When you learn, if you are focused, then you know a lot. But taking the practical experience, that will promote you further. Your exposure goes up, and then you are well knowledgeable, well adversed with the different kinds of material. You handle the material, you know the use of the material, you know the pluses and minuses of the material. From the flooring to tile to anything, including electrical fixture fitting. It is your subject, and then you have to focus. If it is not your subject, you have to have somebody consulting you or giving you a consultation. This is how we work at least. And my advice to the student is that if you are going to the architecture, after passing, you are going to be the draftsman, and you will start knowing the architecture when you come to the practice. But you have to accept that globally, when the people get qualified, they don't get architecture at this time. They are not qualified as an architect. They are draftsmen. You have to draft it yourself, and then you educate yourself and come to that level. Then you will be titled as an architect.
These insight talks will acquaint you with the architect's professional approach, values that they respect and expect, their philosophy, and above all, how they look at life, other people, and this very planet. Let us join the respected professional at Insight Studio. And just to add, Prism Johnson is engaged with the fraternity of designers in multiple ways, which includes publication of reputed journal Insight. You can also receive very rich and professional content by subscribing to the newsletter from insightreview.in. Thank you very much.